TV inventory, it's programming. So if ESPN, whatever what ESPN wants is what they'll get in this case because they control ACC and SEC. If they would like to see those two schools in, they'll help make it happen. If they won't, there's no way those schools get out.
No, and I mean when you talk about that, we saw Kliavkov. He there when it came out that ESPN offered them 30 million school per year, and he turned it down and asked for 50. And ESPN went, "Cool, we'll kill your conference."
See ya.
I don't think you understand who you're talking to.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's exactly right, and that's where I think we get this a lot. I know you get it a lot on the text line. People are talking about, well, this team's better on the field. This team's done better in the last 10 years. This is a better football program. ESPN does not care about that. They're looking for media markets. They're looking for stretching the brand and stretching the footprint. They're looking for TV sets, programming. Yeah. That's what it is, and that's why SMU's in. Quite honestly, the only reason SMU is a part of this is they're willing to come in for nothing, which is everyone will agree to, and they get a foot in the DFW, which now the ACC has a team in Texas, in the fourth biggest media market in the country, and consider a Clemson or a Florida State or a North Carolina every couple of years are going to play a game in the DFW, a road game in Dallas.
Yep.
What coach doesn't want to play a road game in Dallas, and a winnable road game in Dallas that you can roll into and win?
Yeah.
And recruit Texas better. Look how much it changed A&M when A&M moved into the SEC and opened the door to Texas, to the SEC, to be playing games in Texas. It changed everything. So that's why SMU is a part of this. And the irony of all of it is 40 years ago they got shut down as a program because they had these big money boosters that were paying players on a spreadsheet and a ledger, which apparently was a problem. And the governor was in on it. The whole bit was great. So they shut the program down, and now those same big money boosters are the ones keeping them alive and keeping them in the group of 68.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to see
because we don't need the money. We're good.
How many of these schools now that we look at and got caught? Let's put it that way. Like the whole Reggie Bush thing now is always funny when you see that, and then Johnny Manziel comes out with a documentary where he blatantly admits to taking money while he was in school, and he still has his Heisman. And
Patrick, it's ludicrous. LSU's playing Florida State on Sunday, and the best defensive lineman for LSU is suspended because before NIL was legal, he did an autograph signing.
It's so dumb.
And for something that would be completely legal today, he did it before the window opened, and so now he's going to sit out a game.
And those ones too. I get when people can say they have an issue with NIL for people basically getting money for just playing the game.
Yeah.
But the autograph signings are like, that is a level of amateurism that people want that has always been crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, it's TV driven without a doubt, and Fox and ESPN are the drivers. And the next big thing will be how much Amazon and Apple get involved.
That's true.
They were involved at the end with the Pac-12. They're dabbling. They got the MLS. They're into the NFL. Their next step, and we've talked about this, Rod and I, in the mornings, Patrick. There's a lot of people that think either one of those monsters, Amazon or Apple, could swoop in and buy ESPN. If you want to get into the sports media rights game, what quicker way? And as we've talked about, there's a website called Front Office Sports who wrote a story about this that, according to Business Insiders, Apple could buy ESPN with the change in their couch cushions, essentially. I mean, they're such the valuation of that company, and we know that Disney is struggling. Disney Corp is not in a great place financially. They would sell ESPN, and if you buy ESPN, you take all the college football, all the NFL, all the F1 races, every sport. They've already got all the media rights. They don't have to get into negotiation battles with those leagues they just buy ESPN and they have it all.
Yeah, exactly.
And they could keep the ESPN brand if they wanted to. They would just have the rights, and then it would all lead to the streaming that they already have set up.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just basically take your Apple TV Plus and put ESPN Plus onto that thing, and you can still run the games on last night. And looks pretty good in most of that game, even without Cam Rising in the game. If Utah, and then they're coming to the Big 12, all right, well, they just beat a SEC team.
Yeah.
And I think that throughout this season, especially early on, we're getting these non-conference games. It is going to be a lot of those powers that be will be watching to see which conference can differentiate itself as the bigger names. And if those other conferences like an ACC and a Big 12, if they hang with the Big 10 and SEC through this season, through records, and then in the bowl games and everything else, it'll push a little bit different of TV.
You're right about that. I mean, look, again, as this falls out, and Rod and I talked about this morning because this story broke in the morning. And so we had it early, and my opinion is that they're going to stay at 68 now because now they're 68.
Yep.
There's 18, 18, 16, and 16 if you can include Notre Dame in the ACC, which I believe that they are because football is all that matters, and they're pretty much in the ACC in football.
Yeah.
Not in the rest of their sports. But so 18, 18, 16, and 16. The schools are done. There's Washington State and Oregon State are out. There's really no other school that has an argument to join the 68. So you have your group of 4. And really, that whole thing that you just said, Patrick, is right. No one's ever going to catch the Big Ten because, as back to the TV rights, the Big Ten sells media rights in the number 1 market in the country at New York. They've got number 2 in LA now, and they've got number 3 in Chicago and Philadelphia, which is 4 or 5, depending on what ranking you're looking at, because they have Penn State and Maryland and the upper eastern seaboard. So that's why they are getting $100 million. And they have all these huge state schools with huge alumni bases that are passionate about their college football and their athletics. So Big Ten, no one will ever catch them. That's why the SEC makes less money, or the schools in the SEC make less than the Big Ten because they're in smaller markets.
Yeah.
They're in the deep South. Atlanta's the biggest market. Now Austin's in. Dallas, Houston come in with A&M in Texas and Oklahoma. But those are their biggest markets. The Big Ten has the biggest market, so they make the most money. The others then, beyond that, are ACC, who have just added, and the Big 12. It's going to turn into like baseball and Moneyball. The programs that are in those smaller conferences that do it smart, that do it the Billy Bean way, and say, look, we can't do it like them. We've got to use this money smarter. We're never going to we might make $40 or $50 million a year. They're making 100, and the SEC's making 80. But we got to do more with 50.
Yeah, exactly.
But at least we're making 50 and not 10.
Yeah, we're in the game.
Yeah, we're in the game.
And if it's how much of it every year turns into luck of
and of course that funds your entire athletic department, not just football. And the schools that are west now have to budget in the travel for all of their sports to travel to go play wherever they have to play. That's going to rise up, and that comes back to the geography problem that you're not just playing football in these conferences, you're playing volleyball and baseball, and so you've got a budget flying from Los Angeles or Salt Lake City to wherever you're going. That is a cost, but it's better. This is where SMU is. This is better to be in the group of 68 and in that group for the next 10 years and beyond than it is to not be, because at that point you're in the minor leagues. You really are.
And I mean, if you look at that number 68, that's how many teams are in the NCAA basketball tournament.
Yep.
It's a nice number.
Nice round number.
I did hear y'all talking this morning about the new names of conferences too.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of. You mentioned that the Big Ten may try and change to the conference.
I've heard that rumbling that they would just call it the conference.
Does it not sound like Ohio State came up with that idea?
Yes, it does.
That the Ohio State plays in the conference.
Yes. Why do we need a name? We're just the conference.
We're the conference.
We're the elitists in Chicago and New York.
Then Miami's
the ivory tower.
It'll be the only one where Miami's like, well, we have to be in the Big Ten. We have to be in the conference. We're the U.
Right.
We're
the U. No. Again, that we'll see where that comes. At some point, it gets ridiculous to call them big numbers.
Yes.
Because the numbers don't even match up. They haven't matched up in a long time. And I've been told with good friends close in the Big 12 that Brett Yormark, who's a visionary, he's this guy from outside. He's a unicorn who doesn't understand this whole world. He wants to rebrand it. I mean, he would love to call the Big 12 something new and come up with something jazzy and brand it and sell it. But it'll happen it won't happen immediately. Because the schools that they brought in just now, the Colorado, Central Florida, they're trying to recruit on the Big 12.
Yeah.
So they need that for a couple of years. But don't be surprised by 2025 or 6 if the Big 12 does brand a new name, whatever it becomes.
No, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
What did you think of the ACC now as the All-Coast Conference?
I like that one.
That was good, right?
I like that one because, you're still going to be the ACC. But
don't change anything. Just call it the All-Coast Conference.
Yeah, you just go in there and write a couple L's over the Atlantic.
Yeah, the All-Coast Conference. You're in.
No, I like that. That's a good one for them, and especially if, again, when their TV rights aren't up until 2036, I can't imagine that this conference stays together until 2036. So you may end up trying to bring in, San Diego State or somebody like that the Pac-12 was looking at over on the over in California to,
I think we're done at 68.
No, I agree, but I'm saying
72 would be the max.
Yeah, but it's somebody if somebody leaves the conference and goes somewhere else.
Okay.
So if the SEC tries to oust somebody or the Big 10 or Big 12, whoever ousts somebody basically to bring in an ACC, a Florida or a Florida State or Clemson.
Yeah, because any other move is going to be within the 68.
Yeah. And so if we see that, then I could see ACC trying to add somebody else in just to –
Sure.
Because it's what – I mean, we saw with Brett Yormark in the Big 12 was, all right, well, if 2 guys leave, we need to get 8 so we can match up.
Well, and listen, I think the ACC move, it may have, according to one insider, severed the relationship between North Carolina, Clemson, and Florida State. But again, I think they're banking on the fact they don't have anywhere to go, because I don't think the SEC is in any interest. Again, ESPN will determine, because Clemson's not a big media market. Florida State and Tallahassee, minor, doesn't even matter. They already get the Deep South and the South and the Deep South in the SEC. They don't need that. ESPN does not. And they'd rather have those big brands anchoring the All Coast Conference, right? So I think they're banking that they can, and there'll be a battle of lawyers. But you can fight all you want to get out, but you have to go have somewhere to go if you're Florida State and Clemson, and someone that wants you. I don't know that they have that. As I said off the top, North Carolina would be the one that I think would have a home, because I think both would like to have either have a North Carolina. But I think the ESPN would still hold steady with them. The other thing that this move did is it anchored Notre Dame into the ACC, because the ACC was a huge proponent of Stanford Cal. SMU was a throw-in.
Yeah.
They were pushing. They were one of the strongest lobbies and voices for adding the two California schools, because Stanford's one of their biggest natural rivals.
Yeah.
And so now they're in the same conference together, because the Big Ten's been trying to lure Notre Dame in for years, decades into the Big Ten. This now secures them in the ACC and keeps them out of the Big Ten.
Yeah, and that's the other part with UNC is if they do try and do a switch, there is Duke still to be talked about, which ESPN would love to keep that basketball game played every year and make it a big rivalry. So there is something of that where they probably not want them to move, because I don't think the Big Ten wants Duke either.
Yeah, you can't move North Carolina and Duke out of the same conference.
Exactly.
That can't happen.
So that's where, I agree with you.
And again, ESPN is going to tell them what to do.
All right, let's push weekend games. We'll talk about that next segment. We'll get to Patrick's Big Fat Poll today. Ty, you got the sounder for us? All right, we'll post this up. We posted yesterday about where you want to watch the game. Where's your favorite place to watch a game? Overwhelmingly at home. Overwhelmingly.
Because we invest in our man caves.
We do. I thought that at the game would have a good shot at it. I thought some people would still like that.
It's more enjoyable, especially tomorrow.
It was still only like a third of people wanted at the game, or a quarter of people wanted at the game. So today's Big Fat Poll today, if you watch either of the games last night, there was a lot of things that cannot happen in a game, and this is what we talk about with Sark and mental errors and things that you're watching for in this Rice game, where the easy one is in Nebraska. There was a play, it was a 3rd and 6, and the linebacker started trying to get the attention of a lineman because he was not lined up correctly, and clapped for him right in front of a referee who was like, imitating the snap count, 5-yard penalty. It becomes a 3rd and 1, easy pickup, and Minnesota can walk on down the field. And then the one for Florida, which was inexcusable for a coaching staff, was a punt. They get the stop. They punt the ball on a 4th and 4, and they had 2 number 3s on the field. Florida did on the return.
Which gave them a first down.
Gave them a first down. They come in and score. Utah goes down and scores.
Those are the kind of things. That's Charlie Strong not getting the coin flip right.
Yes.
These are things that get Billy Napier fired.
Fortunately,
they couldn't watch it on ESPN in Orlando. on Spectrum. On
Spectrum, you could. No, but those are the kind of mental mistakes in football that drive everybody nuts. They're what we don't want to see on Saturday against Rice, because you can have it against Rice and be fine, but you cannot have it against Alabama in week 2. So you want to see that Sark has his team ready to go. So
I was watching that and I saw it happen, and I never understood what the penalty was.
Yeah, it was just 2 number 3s on the field. There was 2 number 3s, and then Billy Napier was asked about it after the game, and he said, well, one of them's in a safe protection, and one of them is there if we're rushing, and we were trying to get one off the field, and we couldn't get him off the field in time.
Call timeout.
Yeah. You
Call timeout.
It was a first down, and
and they scored a touchdown about 4
You knew it was happening, and no one was like, hey, we're about to.
And they scored a touchdown about 3 plays later.
Yes. So that was what it was. So
Utah.
A terrible mental mistake. But I want to ask you, Patrick's Big Fat Poll today. Tell us on the Specs text line. Ty will give us the best answers. 512-337-3776. What mental mistake in football drives you the craziest? Is the jump off sides on a 3rd or 4th and short that gives them a first down? Is it that jump snap, or the jump of the offensive lineman? Is it something of a missed timeout at the end of the half? That mental mistake of not.
I have mine. I don't know if you have it listed as a poll question.
I don't have it down. This is what we're going to put it down.
It's the guy that's over the ball that jumps offside on defense.
Yeah,
like he's over the ball.
He just set up over the ball.
He's over the ball, like he's looking at the ball,
and he still goes.
You can train a dog better to not move. He's looking at the ball. Like what are you doing?
So we'll take the best.
Yeah, it's a defensive tackle that jumps offside on 4th and 2.
4th and 2 gives them
Gets
a first
drawn
down.
offsides by the hard count when the ball is right in front of him.
We will give that. So put those answers in. We'll find the best ones from the Specs text line. We'll put that up a poll on social media after and get everybody's vote on the Big Fat Poll today. 512-337-3776 is the Specs text line. Ty Henderson back in the studio. He will tell us your good answers. But what mental mistake in football drives you the craziest is the poll question today. And if you want to come say hey to us and tell us in person, you can come on out to Round Rock Hyundai. We're going to be out here till 6:45 having a good time. It is their ultimate grand reopening. They're just completely remodeled inside out. The place is really nice in here right now. There's exclusive customer lounge, Hyundai factory program for vehicles, and incentives available. There's a bunch of people out here looking at cars right now. You could be one of them too.
Do not let me buy a car on the way out here, y'all. Please. Don't.
We know. Aaron came up
Guy
here.
tried to
in,
tackle me earlier when I pulled in mine. I'm like, it's got a little ding on it. It's like, you want a new one?
You want a new one?
No.
You can come get it and check it out, though. Take a test drive.
Don't let me do it.
And look, 1019 works great
Tackle
down
me.
here, so you can come and listen. We'll make sure 1019's on the radio when you come to get your test drive as well, and you can keep listening to
You'll
the
love
show.
the car, I will tell you that.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will get into the weekend games, some of the bigger games that are happening this weekend right here on the Sports Complex on the Horn 1019 AM 1260, the Horn app, and at hornfm.com. Back here on the Sports Complex, we are out here at Round Rock Hyundai, getting you all set up. You can check out the new iconic Hyundai electric vehicle. They can get you set up there. There's an iconic 5 that's an SUV, an iconic 6 that's a sedan. All you gotta do, come on down. Round Rock Hyundai, it's exit 254 behind the McDonald's. It's the grand reopening. Come on out and join us. We will be down here till 6:45. Some 512 Friday there for you. Robert Johnson, we're going to do all blues today. Local bands you can go check out. This is Robert Johnson's Soul. He is playing down south, very far south, so very much on the other side of 35, but it is Giddy Ups. He is playing down there tonight.
Holy giddy ups. That's not far from my house there.
Yes, Robert Johnson Soul. Fun fact, Robert Johnson Soul, on this record, my dad is the bass player.
Now, Robert Johnson, there's a legendary blues man.
There is
Robert.
a legendary, and this is his actual name too.
Okay, cool.
And so
There's a lot of Bob Johnsons in the world.
he was playing in a band with my dad at the time, and they were trying to think of a name for the band, and we're like, well, if you do anything Robert Johnson, Google is dead for you. Because Robert Johnson blues, Robert Johnson's guitar, Robert Johnson.
Yeah.
It's going to end up. But Robert Johnson Soul, they're awesome. They put on a really good show.
And Giddy Ups is a old school.
Yeah.
In a sea of new buildings and new concrete and all flashy, Giddy Ups is old school, brother.
It is old
and they
school.
have a shuffleboard player on the patio that is awesome.
And you will get to see a guy who comes in with all his guitars, and I think he drives a Roadrunner.
Yeah.
He's got it's all old school.
They're guaranteed to be someone sitting at the bar right now that drove a Dodge Duster to Giddy Ups.
I like that. I like that. But go check that out tonight on a 512 Friday. Let's get into a little bit of the weekend games, Aaron.
Can I mention one thing
Yes.
that I've been thinking about this more than I should, because you have glossed something you do called Patrick's Big Fat Poll.
Of the day.
And I wanted to tell you I think that's a great idea. But I don't know how to say that complimentary. Hey, I like
your big fat poll.
Every time. Yeah. hey, Patrick, I like that whole big fat poll thing.
Yeah. I know. That's the reason. I just want to put it.
I know. I get it. I get what you did there.
no one wants to steal my big fat poll. It's okay. It's Patrick's big
or
fat poll.
see it.
But you can join the conversation about the Patrick's
But they can vote in it.
They can vote, and they can send in their stuff, and then we end up what we do is we take all your answers off the text line, and then we take them and put them into a poll on social media, and you can all vote. We take the best.
Is Ty doing that right now? Or
Ty is going through.
Sleep under the
no,
board
he's
there?
ready to do it. We'll do it in the next segment. We'll read those off. But 512-337-3776. What mental mistake in football drives you the craziest? You can join that conversation. Text us in there. Let's get into the weekend games though, because there's a few games. There's a bunch of games happening, but it is early preseason, and a lot of these games didn't play week 0, so they're, putting their first kind of, get it out of the way, get the dust off games. But there's a few that are sticking out to me as ones that you want to watch. And the first one I'll go with is the 11 a.m. It's the game that everybody's going to watch, even though it shouldn't be close, which is Colorado TCU.
Yeah, I agree with that. TCU rolls it up on them, but everyone will be watching it.
Everyone's going to be watching it. This is the stat where you go, TCU lost a lot of guys. They only have 10 returning starters. Do you know how many returning players there are for Colorado? On the whole team?
16.
10. Oh. So the returning starters.
Over. Bob Barker. Dead.
10 returning starters for TCU. 10 returning players for Colorado. I believe 3 of them were starting at the end of last season. So it is a completely different team.
This is why everybody's going to tune in. It's Deion. It's TCU.
You have no idea what you're going to see.
I know. It's Deion, and then it's TCU was in the national championship game a year ago, so they're kind of a fancy program to start the year to see what they look like, replacing all the dudes they are. But yeah, this has never been done before. It's Deion, and what he's done has never been done.
No.
He has flipped a roster in one offseason.
Yeah, because you would normally watch this game to say these guys that played for the national championship last year lost a bunch of players. Chandler Morris, who was a starter last year and got hurt,
and
Max Duggan came in and took him all the way, but he's coming back to start this year. But then Shedeur Sanders, we don't know. I mean, he played against lesser opponents in HBCU, but we don't know too because they're not playing a bunch of big games against top Power 5 talents. So we don't know what he's going to look like coming out in that first week.
I know. It's just the complete unknown. Because if it goes good, everybody's going to be like, holy cow, Deion, are you kidding me? And trust me, Sonny Dykes and his coaching staff, and they're aware of this.
Yeah.
They understand what a existential threat Colorado is in the Metroplex recruiting if they were to walk in there and find a way to win that game or even make it close based on the team that was in the national title game a year ago and a team that flipped the entire roster and have brought in Deion Sanders, who by the way, TCU interviewed Deion when they were looking when they ended up hiring Sonny Dykes. So, I mean, Deion is such a gravitational force in recruiting right now because he's Deion.
Yeah.
He's at this presence, and Sonny Dykes understands that if they were to come in and win or keep it close and be in this game, and they're about to be a future conference mate, that is a massive. And if they get a chance to run it up on them, they will.
I mean,
trust me, TCU will.
Oh no, because you have to, because basically you don't know the guy from down the end of their bench may be a freshman who is a 5-star freshman.
You have to protect your recruiting turf.
Yeah.
And you have to protect your recruiting roster.
Yeah, and you have to watch out that this team could probably put up 14 points at some point in the game just because, hey, well, we have these freshmen now who we put in, and you've got your second string in because you're up 24 points or 30 points. You have to, if you're TCU, basically plan to play your starters as much of the game as you possibly can.
And I think, and then after you said, well, it's game one. We just got reps, man. We need guys to play.
Yeah.
We got to get these guys. It's all brand new players for us, too. We need to get them in the game. But, I mean, to your point of why it's so must-see TV is we've never seen it done before. It's Deion Sanders. And everything in my core says it can't work. Like, you can't just throw a team together, no matter how talented the players you brought in are, and all of a sudden it's cohesive, goes on the road, and can compete with a program that's established like Sonny Dykes has at TCU.
And throw in a head coach that has 2-3 years experience
at the HBC level.
Yeah.
Which, again, but the fascinating part is everything tells me it can't work. It can't be good. What if it is?
Exactly.
What if it is? What if it's good? What if they're competitive? That will be an unbelievable story.
And how many times have you had a game where there will be fans in the stand wearing a jersey for the team that's in your city of the player that is coaching against you? Because there's going to be some Deion jerseys in there.
Well, because he's for a lot of Cowboys fans, it's one of their favorite players that ever played for the Cowboys.
Exactly.
Right? They're like, oh my gosh, we got my 21. Though we're in the Cowboys 21. It's a huge story. It's good for college football. It's good for eyeballs. I can't wait. I don't think the game's going to be close when it's all said and done, but I will be front and center. Rod Babers and I will be watching it down at the Mockingbird Saloon, getting ready for our pregame show for Texas at noon. So that's where I'll be, 27th in Guadalupe.
Yeah, that is going to be – it's just going to be it's a really fun way to kick off football season on a Saturday morning because it could – I think even coming out of the half, you don't know what to expect, even if TCU's up. 3 or 4 scores at halftime.
I have no idea.
You have no idea what to expect coming out of the half because it's Deion Sanders. He may come out with an entirely different starting lineup.
Well, and that's the thing. Like going into last night's game, we talked about it yesterday at Lavaca Street, right? It's like, well, Utah is going to be really physical. They're going to be well coached. They're going to be tough. Florida is traveled, and they have the hurricane issues. They might be a little discombobulated. Graham Mertz is not a very good quarterback. I knew what to expect, and the game was exactly kind of how I thought it would go.
Yeah.
It was even except for some dumb Florida mistakes, and who knows if that was the travel and the hurricane and all that, or is just Billy Napier's not very good. This game, I have no idea. Because not only is prime time and what he's done, TCU replaces the best player at every position on their team.
Yeah.
Every position on their team they replace. They still have good players, and they still have Chandler Morris, who was supposed to be the starter last year, and their defense has got some dudes who are all Big 12. But I just don't know what I'm going to see tomorrow. I have no idea.
And when you talk about last night, that Minnesota-Nebraska game did not go how we thought it was at all.
Yeah.
Matt Rule looked like he was going to win until the end of the game and
snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
That's exactly right. UNC is taking on South Carolina. UNC is a 2.5-point favorite in this game. You would think that
it's my favorite game of Saturday.
This is probably the best game on Saturday. It's it's a ranked UNC team. You have a Heisman candidate in Drake May. It shouldn't be this close. But South Carolina is going to be able to put enough on there. People still don't know about Spencer Sanders. There's still this hope that Spencer Rattler can turn it around. There's still the hope for Rattler.
You remember when he was supposed to be the number 1 draft pick at Oklahoma, and he was the Heisman winner, consensus?
And he played 1 half against Texas.
And then, bye. Here comes Caleb Williams. Lightning bolt.
In one game, you took the number 1 overall pick out of the draft, and you created another 1 overall pick. In one game.
And our friend Rod Babers would tell you that Pete Kwiatkowski's defensive game plan was too good because it got him benched. And, but I was at the Cotton Bowl that day, and I'm telling you, I've never seen this before. I've been to many a Texas-Oklahoma game. I've never seen a player who played for Oklahoma so disliked than Spencer Rattler. And it wasn't even the general fan. It was the student body. So whatever Spencer Rattler did behind the scenes and on that campus, they hated Spencer Rattler by that game. And when he turned it over twice in the first quarter, they wanted to like carry him out and get him off the game. And when Caleb Williams came in on that fourth down play that changed the game, place erupted. Oklahoma erupted.
Oh.
Not only was he not playing well, the fan base hated him.
Yeah,
I've never seen that before for an Oklahoma player. They love whoever. They love Bosworth. They love all their guys.
We will see. We will see if Rattler has that same effect in South Carolina against UNC. I also love the story of British Brooks.
Who's that?
He is a running back for North Carolina. He was averaging 9.5 yards a carry when he got hurt 2 seasons ago.
Okay.
He has missed. He has not played football suited up in North Carolina gear in over 600 days. He will be returning. He's big in the special teams. It's his 6th year at North Carolina.
I love this.
So it's an interesting player to watch.
And my man Rod Babers, who would say that he played for Mack Brown, of course, recruited by Mack Brown. When Mack Brown has a good quarterback, his teams are typically good, and he's got maybe the second best quarterback in the country. But here's the deal: if you look at both of those teams last year, both teams were roughly 500 through 10 games or 9 games. South Carolina won their last 4 games, including wins over Tennessee and Clemson in the Orange Bowl, or Clemson late, and that knocked them out of the national title picture. North Carolina lost their last 4 games last year. They were right where they wanted to be, and they were a 1-loss team and then lost 4 in a row to end the season because they played no defense. And people figured out Drake May a little bit. I'm interested in this game because I think South Carolina went into the offseason on a super high and North Carolina went in on a low. I want to see what this game looks like. That's the night game, right?
That is yes. That's
going to be a good game.
And then also in that, Rattler and South Carolina were averaging over 2 turnovers a game per all season last year, which is not a great number to have. So if North Carolina can turn over South Carolina, then
that's what flipped in those last few games.
Yeah.
And again, they beat Tennessee without Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
After he got hurt, so that was a big part of it. But again, I'm a big Shane Beamer believer. I like him. Coach Beamer's son, Frank Beamer's son. I like him. I think he is a dynamic young coach, and you got the older Mack Brown. I like that game a lot.
Yeah, and finally, the Sunday game, that is the premier game of the week. Number 5 LSU versus number 8 Florida. LSU's favored by 2 in this game. Mike Norvell is bringing back a lot of talent and guys that he lost. He has brought in a transfer portal. He's got offensive guys coming back. The offensive line and D-line both look really good for them. But they don't have a secondary. And then you get Jordan Travis versus Jaden Daniels.
Florida State here. I know they're the underdog in their own backyard in Orlando in the neutral site game. I like Florida State.
And this is also, you got to say that this is one of those games where I talked about conferences and people watching to see which conferences can do better and bigger. LSU and Florida. Big
statement game for them.
This is big for Brian Kelly and the SEC or the ACC because the ACC's been down the last few years. If Florida State wins this,
they're back
start
in
the trend.
Yeah, and they also play Clemson early, right?
Yeah.
They have another big early game, Florida State. No, yeah, Clemson's early this year for them, I believe.
So, yeah.
I'll look at their schedule. But and I wonder, we talked about Florida yesterday. The hurricane hit Tallahassee and Jacksonville, essentially. I wonder what their game week prep has been at Florida State. I don't know.
From everything I've read, it hasn't affected them as much because it's a Sunday game.
And they didn't have to travel?
So there's less of a pain for them that they were kind of able to be indoors for a lot of it and not too bad. But yeah, it's – and then the weather is supposed to be for that game it's supposed to be very humid outside, but that is
balmy and tropical.
That is what they've said. All right, we got to take another break. When we come back, we will get Ty to read off some of your answers for the Big Fat Poll today. What mental mistake in football drives you the craziest? 512-337-3776. We'll be right back here on the Sports Complex. We are here at Round Rock Hyundai. Come on out and say hey to us. Round Rock Hyundai. It's right off of exit 254 behind the McDonald's. We'll tell you more about it when we come back here on the Sports Complex, 1019 AM 1260, the Horn app, and at hornfm.com. Back here on the Sports Complex, here on the Horn, out at Round Rock Hyundai. You can come out and check us out. Exit 254. You go right past that McDonald's. It is the grand reopening. It's a party here all weekend long. They've done a complete remodel inside and out. They have this big exclusive custom lounge that it looks very nice in here now.
Fancy.
They were just talking to them, and they were saying that it was packed earlier today, but it's clearing up, so it's going to be ready for another day tomorrow for everybody to come out and check out their new Ioniq electric vehicles. They have the Ioniq 5, which is the SUV. They have the Ioniq 6, which is the sedan, whatever you want to pick there. They also have a bunch of nice cars like a Genesis, which is what Aaron Hogan likes to drive.
And if you want to tether the Genesis to sports, Tiger Woods was in a Genesis when he had his car accident, one of the the new SUV, and I don't know that he'd be alive. That was a great testimonial for a Hyundai Genesis, which is their luxury brand, because that's what he was speeding in when he crossed the median and flipped the Genesis. How he lived in that deal, I still don't get it. He was going 70, 75 miles an hour into a ravine, and he broke his leg, but he's fine.
Yeah, that is an amazing.
That's amazing.
It is an amazing thing.
Great cars.
Ty Henderson back at the Horn Studio since we are out, and we have asked you for the big fat poll of the day. What mental mistake in football drives you the craziest? We have said Aaron Hogan's is that it is the lineman lined up over the ball.
Just the nose guard of the defensive tackle who jumps offside on 3rd or 4th and short because of a hard count, yet the ball is sitting right there. Like it's sitting right there. And I've never played that position. I can't, but again, it's there.
Yeah.
Like don't move until the ball moves. The ball's got to move before you can move.
Yeah, I always hate the quarterback
especially on 3rd and 4th, because they're coming to do a hard count.
Yeah, I always hate the quarterback who gets out and knows full well that he's not going to get it before the delay of game and will just fake it and snaps it, but snaps it a full second late where it's just bad. There was one of those last night where they should have called a timeout. I can't remember which game.
That's another good one. I hate it in this day and age where they protect the quarterbacks too much or enough to where when they're rolling out of bounds and if they throw it away, they save 10 yards, but they just run out of bounds.
Oh, that was the David Carr.
Yes.
That was the David Carr.
You know what I'm talking about?
The
When they
Texans.
run out of bounds, and it's like, dude, just throw it into the stands and save 10 yards here. What are you doing?
The David Carr, you're right. That as a Texans fan, when they first started, that David Carr, the amount of untouched sacks that man took, and he was chased, but he never got. He would not.
Yeah,
get
he was
touched.
shell shocked. This guy was like in Vietnam or something.
He would run out of bounds 5 yards behind the line. You're like, just throw it away. The guy's 6 yards behind you. Just throw it away.
They give you every protection. Take advantage of them. Save me 10 yards.
Ty, do we have
And then it's
any?
kind of like walk out of bounds.
Ty, do we
The
have
ball in their hand.
any good text on the text line?
Oh, good
yeah,
one.
That's brutal. That's brutal.
You had one job.
No, the ref.
Oh, that's true. I like that. Yeah. Oh.
that is a mental mistake of.
Yeah, there was a kid for Utah last night had a wide open crossing route and just boop, hit him right in the hands, and no one was near him.
That's still that first play in that game where Utah goes 70 yards. It still feels like that defensive back just misplayed that ball so badly.
He tripped his own guy.
It's just they were right there, and then somehow Utah came out of it with the ball when it should have been intercepted. Like, what a great pass! I was like, that probably should have been picked off if Florida knew how to play. Yeah, those are some good texts. Keep them coming. 512-337-3776 is the Specs text line. What mental mistake in football drives
I will
you the
say
craziest?
that, and add to that, not to pile on our friend Charlie Strong, but the game that was the most galling, because I covered and did the post-game show when Mac Brown's team at the very beginning of the Mac tenure had three punts blocked in one game against North Carolina State, and it's the only reason they lost the game. It was a home game, which made it 100 times worse. The people were not happy after the game. 3 punts, not one, not two, not three, LeBron. 3 punts blocked, and they lost. But Charlie Strong, in a game at Oklahoma State, had 3 extra points blocked. Not missed by his kicker, blocked by the same guy.
Yeah, you gotta put a protection over on that guy.
Okay, one, let's huddle up. Let's figure this out before our next extra point. No, they didn't. And then, okay, second time. Got it. All right, guys, we're going to huddle up. We're going to get this right.
One time is an accident. Twice is a coincidence. 3 times is enemy action.
3 times.
That is terrible. That is there was apparently a play yesterday in one of the smaller games where they had the ball, I believe, on the other team's 45. They were punting. It was either their 45 or the other team, and ended up with a safety. He snapped the ball that hard over the punter's head
like a missile.
that it rolled all the way back, and the punter kicked it out on like the 2 yard
No
line.
way.
He just kicked it out the back of the end zone. But it was a punter running full speed to try and kick the ball in the back.
Hey,
of the end zone.
can we ask Ty Henderson back at the studio, who played for the great Todd Dodge at Westlake? Give me your worst penalty you ever committed, Ty, and what penalty drove Todd Dodge and the coaching staff the most crazy? Oh, I remember this. You had to play the deep snapper.
That's not one moment. That is a worst day.
And I love that after that happened, you got thrust into a situation of playing deep snapper when you've never done it before in a game. Oh, that's right. You were deep snapping. Then they thought you could play center at 218 pounds, and you snapped it over the quarterback's head. And you said your dad didn't talk to you for a week.
No. You know why? But you know why they thought he could play center? Because he's 6'3", 215.
Yeah.
And we've all seen 6'3", 215 looks a lot different than we thought it did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the president, former president. Yeah, he's 215. Ty, did you? And what was the penalty that caused the most strife on the sidelines? Yep. Mental mistakes.
Yes. It is what we want to avoid tomorrow. But today, come on out and join us. We're out at Round Rock Hyundai. We're going to be here till
8
6.
points for the other team.
It's a solid play, Ty. It was a good day. That's one of those days where on snap 4 you just go, you know what? It can't happen 4 times, right? This can't happen again.
That's because his dad was up in the stands with all the fans.
Oh no!
Who is this person tapping the ball over the person's head?
His dad wasn't there on snap 4. I guarantee he was in the car already. Round Rock Hyundai.
Who is this center?
Exit 254 behind the McDonald's. It's a grand reopening. We'll be here till 6:45. We'll be right back on the Sports Complex on 101.9 AM 1260, Horn app, and hornfm.com. complex on the Jacob Standard keeps getting shocked every time he touches the computer out here doing our live stream, so it is very funny to me every time to watch him freak out. We're back here at Round Rock Sunday. Myself,
It's like Bob
Aaron
Cole
Hogan.
getting tased.
Exactly. We just need the sound effects. We're here, Round Rock Hyundai. It's a grand reopening. Exit 254. You go right behind the McDonald's. You see the big Hyundai sign. You'll see the big sign out front, so you can follow that. They've done a complete remodel inside and out. There is a exclusive customer lounge, and you're going to be able to get the new Hyundai Ioniq, the electric vehicle. You can go test drive that. Check that out. 1019, I'm hearing, works all the way up here very well, so you can put that into the Hyundai Ioniq and go for a test drive. They also have Hyundai Assurance, America's best warranty, 10 years, 100,000-mile warranty. You can get that checked out. These are nice cars, though. They save Tiger Woods, is what we're going to say. So
I believe that. I believe that.
So
And that might be my next car, by the way. So let me get out of here before they sell me one. The Genesis SUV. No, later. A few more years. A few more years.
We got to get through football season first.
And you guys had to set us up right here where I'm looking at this great gray-looking sedan, four-door, sleek Genesis. That thing is awesome.
Yeah, I'm just looking.
Love that vehicle.
Lots of nice seating in here. It looks like it's a good place to come hang out.
And
or
Genesis
come
are
check-
good cars, man, and
Yeah.
the whole Hyundai brand. But I have not seen or driven the Ioniqs, but obviously they look sharp. I mean, good vehicles
There you go. Come down and
and
check
good
us out.
people here in Round Rock.
We will be here for another 45 minutes or so. We're taking off 6:45 to get you ready for Vandergrift football. Pregame starts at 6:45. They are playing Cedar Park, but
Let me also mention that Westlake Converse Judson tonight.
that's a big one.
That's a great game. Lake Travis and Cibolo, Steel. That's
Yeah.
a great game. Bowie plays Cedar Ridge. That's a really good. I mean, tonight's a really good night because this is you only have 3 non-district games, so you get these big non-district matchups, and teams are trying to test themselves and get themselves ready for district play. There's some really. Is Ty going to make it over to the Westlake Judson game? Because these are 2 Texas State powerhouses playing right, 5 minutes or 2 blocks from the radio station. Are you going over there, Ty?
I'm thinking about it.
I thought that was the only reason he was working tonight. Is he agreed? Is because he knew that he could just head over to the Westlake game right after. What is
I'm
get?
on the
There you go.
I mean, there's really good games. So if you're headed out to your Friday night lights and grabbing some dinner or whatever you're going to do, man, it's a really good night of high school football. The district games are district, but these non-district games, because most coaches are going to schedule a kind of a winnable game 1 if they can,
Yeah.
and then that game 2 they're really going to test themselves. It's kind of like Texas playing Alabama. Let's see where we're at, and then we can work on getting better and drill down. If we lose, we're okay because district starts 2 weeks later. This is a really good schedule tonight.
Yeah, it is a bunch of good games to check out. Yeah, and you'll be able to hear Vandergrift right here on our airwaves, 1019 AM 1260. We didn't mention it. Let's mention this real quick, though. Also, because the Rangers will not be on our airwaves tonight because of Vandergrift, but huge series for all big AOS teams. I always want to talk about this quickly. We saw Astros get their first ever sweep in Fenway Park. Michael Brantley is back. They're looking like they're starting to turn a corner. The pitching is still a question mark against good teams, but they start their series tonight against the Yankees, who are struggling, but it is always a huge series when the Astros play the Yankees. The Rangers are starting their series off against the
Twins.
Twins, which, Carlos Correa can do us a solid, get some wins.
Strike out 4 times.
Exactly. And the
Sorry,
Mariners,
did I say that out loud? Was that on the mic?
He's not an Astro anymore.
Exactly.
And the Mariners are taking on the New York Mets. So a lot of New York ties, but that is with the 3 teams entering September, all within a game of each other. The one good news for the Astros in this is the Astros have 2 less games to play in September than the Rangers or the Mariners. So when you look at those, that's why the Astros are slightly behind because they're 0.001 percentage point behind.
Yeah, they have two games they don't have to play, and the Astros and Rangers play Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday
Yes.
for the final time. The Rangers play the Mariners 7 of their last 10 games.
Yeah,
They've
and
got
the
4
Astros
games.
are in the middle. The Mariners have to play the Astros and Rangers to finish the series. So if they come out and play hot at the end, they clearly run away with
and
this
Rod
division.
Babers had the stat this morning. I didn't realize this. It seems unique, and Rod was saying this is the latest. Never before have 3 teams in a division been within 1 game of each other entering September. It's never happened.
Yeah.
And as you said, we got this huge series. I mean, the good thing about the Astros, Patrick, is that if you're an Astro fan, is their last 5 games they scored 52 runs. the offense is cranking up, right? They had a 9-run game in Detroit, 17, 13, 6, 7. They're starting to hit the ball. So the pitching is, the starting pitching. JV's on the mound tonight, Verlander against the Yankees. That should be a win if you got Verlander at home against Carlos Rodon, who's been terrible for the Yankees. So you feel good about that. But beyond that, as you said, the Astros and Rangers play 3 at Globe Life Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Yes.
I mean, these are huge head-to-head matchups. I mean, they're huge swings in what this is going to be. And as you said, the Mariners' last 10 games are 4 with the Rangers, 3 with the Astros, 3 with the Rangers.
Yeah. So
How could you ask for more?
No, it's going to be a really fun September if you're a fan of any of the AL West
Oh.
teams. I'm looking forward to watching all of that. But yeah, and it's the funniest part with the Astros pitching this year is what I've started to hear more about and read more about is that they're getting affected by the pitch clock a lot because basically when they start to go downhill, these young pitchers, they can't not get out of their own head. And because there's no way you can kind of just throw it to first base 5 times and get
Take a
yourself
breather.
back, you can't do that anymore. And so they get into innings, and Framber Valdez has, within 4
Meltdown.
games, melted down twice and not given up a hit twice.
Well, and Christian Javier,
That's
if Christian Javier, who I'm an Astros fan, I love the guy. If he were a golfer, I would hit him with a club. He's the slowest person you've ever seen. It's like, would you just pitch? It's like the guy on the tee box. Just hit the ball, man. What are we doing? Or putt the ball. Javier's slow, and so
Yeah.
the pitch clock certainly affects him. And I think that has really been a big problem. I mean, where would the Astros be without J.P. France? I mean, the guy's been unbelievable.
except for that one Red Sox game where he got railed. And,
yeah, he
and
had
gave
one
up-
bad
he had
start.
one
I'll
bad
put
start.
up with that.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
No,
he
it's
had a bad day, but he's been so reliable. He works quick, which I love, and so does
Yes.
JV. Those two guys are what you're relying on right now. Obviously, without any Lance McCullers, any Luis Garcia this year, Jose Urquidy's hardly done anything. So they're kind of pitching. They're kind of taping together their starting pitching right now. That's why I say 52 runs in the last 5 games. The offense is cranking up, and you mentioned Michael Brantley is back.
that's a good thing.
And the Rangers have to figure out how to close games.
Yeah.
Patrick, they're 15 and 27 in games that are tough and tight, 7th inning or later. 15 and 27.
And something they were really good at early in the season that's fallen off now is that Bruce Bochy and the Rain, they're having a hard time in these closeout games of series where they were at what Dusty Baker always calls the getaway game. They were really good at that in the first half of the season, and it started to fall off now.
Well, think about it. I mean, if we would be entering September in a 3-way tie in the AL West if they had closed out that game against the Mets on Wednesday. They're up 5-3 in the 9th. They've got the game. They need 3 outs, and Leclerc gives up the 2-run homer.
Yeah.
Then they end up in the 10th, and Aroldis Chapman walks back-to-back hitters and then hits a guy, and it's over. It's like, come on, y'all.
Yeah, that's a Chapman that he looks really good most of the time, and then in certain situations, there's a reason why you could tell that he is no longer a New York Yankee, and there's a reason why he doesn't end up everywhere.
Baffling. I mean, for the Astros too. I mean, and that's why right now, and I know the Mariners have to earn it because they've got all those games head-to-head down the stretch, but they're playing the best. I mean, Julio Rodriguez just had a ridiculous August, and is playing as good as anybody in the game. And then they're pitching better than the Astros or Rangers right now. They really are. The Mariners are kind of locked in, and I can't wait for this last month. I mean, I know everybody's so fired up about football, and I am too, in college and pro. But man, I will be locked in this weekend where I can on the Astros, Mariners, and Rangers because it's going to be a heck of a race. We've never seen like it. We've never had 3 teams locked up like this with 30 games to play.
I did see this funny stat about Dominic Leone, who the Mariners picked up on waivers when everybody released all of those.
Yeah.
And the Rangers didn't end up with anybody, and the Astros didn't end up with anybody. The Reds got a bunch of guys, and the Guardians
picked up 3 players off the Angels.
Yeah.
Who
But this
cashed out.
But the line of Dominic Leone this season is he was released by the Rangers. The Mets signed him. The Mets then traded him to the Angels for the number 22 prospect in the Angels, or Jeremiah Jackson, who's now the number 2 prospect in the Mets system. And then the Angels just waived Leone, and he ends up on the Mariners. So he's played on 2 teams in the AL West, and the Angels. He played on 3 teams, and the Angels were the only one that gave up a draft pick for him. And that is why the Angels are the Angels, because they make moves
I
like
just feel
that.
bad for that guy. He's got to call his wife every time. Honey, we got to move again.
We're going to Seattle.
Oh, honey. Like every time the phone rings, the wife's like, or the girlfriend, oh my God.
Yeah.
Where are we going now?
Where we go now? Let's talk a little bit of Texas Rice before we got to get to this break. I know you guys are going to be down on
Mockingbird
campus.
Saloon, baby.
Mockingbird Saloon tomorrow, which we will get way more in-depth pregame from Aaron.
Noon to 2. We'll be watching Colorado and TCU with the on-air broadcast of those in that window, but we'll get there a little bit earlier. Like they really don't open until noon, but we're gonna make them open at 11:30.
There you
We're
go.
gonna make them open.
And yeah, and you'll get a bunch of good content, so you can tune in tomorrow, noon to 2 for Aaron and Rod talking a bunch of Texas football. Let's get a little bit into it now. I do have a piece of audio. I want to give this to Texas people that you can, if you want a reason to try and push back on Rice at all, because it's hard to get that up for Rice. So I listened to the Rice press conference,
Oh.
Mike Bloomberg press conference for the game, and out of the 20 minutes he talked, there was only one thing that I could find that was locker room material. Here we go. Ty, do you have the audio from Mike Bloomberg when he was talking about Texas in his opening statement?
We had an awesome opportunity this week. Playing for the University of Texas. Great times for our football team. We understand how talented they are. We've been preparing all offseason for them. I think physically and mentally, we're a stronger football team. And let's give us our best chance as we go out there.
They are not only mentally. I think that's more offensive to say you're mentally a stronger team, but to say you're physically stronger than Texas seems like a bit of a reach if you're Rice. But that's the best I could find of what if you want to get worked up about it. Mike Bloomberg thinks that his team is mentally and physically stronger than Texas. So put that, Sark. You can put that on the board.
Yeah, put it on the board if you need that against Rice. Help us.
I want one of the things I want to look at in this. We're not going to blitz much during this game. It's going to be something where you're going to have to get natural pressure because you don't want to show off anything defensively before you go play Alabama, who did name Jalen Milroe the starter for week 1.
Oh, they did. I didn't see that. Good.
So he will be number 1. They didn't say he's going to play the whole game.
Sure.
They said he is starting week 1 against Middle Tennessee State, the Blue Raiders of Middle Tennessee State.
I had a high school teammate that played at Middle Tennessee State.
He's a Blue Raider.
He was a basketball player, but the Blue Raider. So I knew that.
But I want to see if you want to get these defensive linemen mad enough because you want to see if you can pressure organically and figure out which guys you can.
And you should be able to.
You should be able
to.
They don't have. I mean, they can talk good about their O-line at a point. They just don't have the size and again physical strength to. They shouldn't be pushing around Texas D-line.
Well, and that's my overall thought on this game, and Rod and I talked about it this morning. The first quarter and a half is what matters, right? Rice literally, physically, depth-wise, can't hang with Texas for 60 minutes in the heat. Texas has too many good players. I mean, Texas could run out their second team, and it would be a pretty good game.
Yeah.
In my mind, maybe even a blowout, or maybe even a comfortable win for Texas. That's how deep Texas is right now. But what you want to watch for, in my mind, is that first quarter, those first 4 or 5 drives. Either way, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And the first 4 or 5 drives either way. And is Rice getting anything? Because I'll go back to what Sark said at the beginning of the training camp when he said we're so far along in our install. We have so much coaching continuity on our team and so many returning players. We're good. We know what our offense is. We know what our defense is. We got our schemes. We got our playbooks. We're going to start working on the difference-making plays of a game. We're going to work on third down. We're going to work on fourth down. We're going to work on down and distance. We're going to work on red zone. We're really going to drill down on the things that make a difference in a football game. What separates winning and losing. That's what I'm going to be watching. How do they look on third down on both sides of the ball? How do they look in the red zone? Do they execute and get touchdowns, not field goals? Do they keep Rice if Rice can even get into the red zone? How do they execute there? And then specialty teams. These are the things that we talk about. The things that annoyed you about a football game, and certainly watching Florida last night. The mental miscues. Those are things you got to play this game at least till halftime like you're playing Alabama. And that's what I want to see. Who's mentally on point? Where's Quinn Ewers? Because Rod Babers has made this point many times in his deep dives. The strength of the Rice team is their secondary.
Yes.
They've got really good players in the back end. They can't compete with Texas on the lines of scrimmage, so Texas really can line up and smash them. They should be able to. If they can't, be very afraid. They should be able to physically impose their will. But don't you want to see Quinn Ewers have to go through some progressions to make good reads against a good secondary, to make some throws into some coverages that they've got for you? Because that's going to be the question for me, is Quinn Ewers as a more than a 1 or 2 read quarterback.
Yes.
A progression quarterback who can wait on the next progression because the first one's not there. They're not force it to Xavier Worthy because that's what he wants to do. And that's what he's always done through his career because that's usually open or he's got better players at South Lake Carroll or wherever. And that's what Sark's been working with him on. Look, the defense will tell you where to go with the ball. We've got options on every play, and there's always an outlet. Take your time, work through the progressions. Your line's going to give you protection. I go back to when he had Mac Jones at Alabama, and Mac Jones, when he was just back there, okay, point guard. Find the spot. Am I going to Devontae Smith? Am I going to go here? Am I going to go into the flat to Najee Harris? Just that's what I want to see from Quinn, a quarterback who's elevated himself to just letting the offense flow through him, not trying to force things that aren't there.
Yeah, and I mean that for Quinn too. It's being able to sit in a pocket and not get happy feet
Mhm.
too quickly into those routes where we've seen him in years past where last year when he would drop back and if Xavier Worthy he would wait too late on some of these passes to let everybody read his eyes and then still throw the pass.
Yeah.
And you just want to see him move through his progression.
And I think what I see when I watched him last year, and I've gone back through the summer and watched some of those games again. He was thinking the game.
Yeah.
And you could tell because of course again it didn't help him that he got hurt in game 2 and missed 4 or 5 games and then came back. He missed a lot of reps he needed. And we all saw him against Alabama, and it was coming so easy in that first quarter. It looked like they were going to blow the Tide off the field, and then he got hurt. And he needed those reps in those other games, and he didn't get them. Then when he came back and he played so good against Oklahoma, it was like, okay, well, we got our guy. And then, of course, like every young player and every young quarterback's going to deal with, adjustments get made, defensive coordinators get more film on you, they throw things at you, and quite honestly, he didn't handle it very well. And he looked like a quarterback who was thinking through the game. Something that I want to see him play like a natural player. Just don't play like a robot. Play like a football player. If the play breaks down, take off and run. If the pocket collapses, move. Get out and make a throw, make a play. Just play football.
Well, and that's it. When you say make a play, and he talked about in his availability a week or so ago, talking about the relationship with Sark changing enough now that last year he felt a lot that, all right, whatever I'm doing, I'm about to get yelled at. And I know I messed up this. So if I mess up this, I'm going to mess up the next 3 things because I know as soon as I come off this field, I'm getting an earful. So it knocks me out of my rhythm. Whereas in that Alabama game, in the Oklahoma game, he was able to just keep going and keep feeling the game, and he wasn't worried about it. And hopefully the relationship is built up enough now between him and Sark that he's not as worried and he can make one mistake and not let it snowball into an entire bad game.
Well, and Sark doesn't need to be ripping his quarterback between series while he's coaching the team.
No, he doesn't.
And his offensive coordinator's up in the booth. Might need someone else to do that. But either way, I agree with you. And look, again, having been at the Alabama game live and then the Oklahoma game, the Alabama game was just Sark's script, right? Everything he dialed up worked.
Yep.
It was really well scripted. They had Alabama on their heels. These were all designed plays. You know that they worked on them week after week after week, and certainly the whole week of practice. It was like a ballet or something. He wasn't thinking; he was just playing, and that's why it looked so smooth. But the minute you have to tap the ball and things, the first read's not there. And the Oklahoma game was just, Oklahoma's defense was so bad. They provided almost no resistance to them. That was as bad an Oklahoma team that you're ever going to see. Now, that was after they got beat by Oklahoma, TCU really bad the week before, and Dylan Gabriel got hurt. They were just a mess on defense. And I'm not taking anywhere from Texas 49-0. You own that forever. But all Texas fans who've been to a lot of Cotton Bowl games, you've never seen an Oklahoma defense that feeble.
Yeah.
And that's what he took advantage of. But again, it changed. But now I want to see, and because I was at the Alamo Bowl when against Washington, they didn't lose that game because of Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers played really good in that game. Can he build on that, take it through the offseason, and can we see that show up as a guy who's just playing quarterback, working the system, looking like a real-life football player? And, yeah, he's going to make mistakes. And Sark's going to get up his rear if he does. That's good. That's good coaching. But I just want to see Quinn be a natural football player.
Yeah, and I'm curious what's going to happen in this game in the second half.
Yep.
Because we're hoping that Texas will be handled and everything else. But something that Sark has driven home in the past few weeks through the scrimmages and since the Alamo Bowl is that energy in the second half. Because we know Sark play calling in the second half has not been great.
Nope.
To be nice about it. And, he's mentioned it a few times of things he needs to work on, his coaching staff needs to work on. He's never blatantly come out and said, I didn't do well with this last year, I need to do better. But he's hinted around that he understands that he had some shortcomings in the second half. But he has also made a very big point that he needs his players to play an entire game focused. He needs to have his players play an entire game with a type of energy. And so seeing this game, it would make me believe that he's going to come out second half with a lot of starters still coming out of that lineup, or whoever is coming out of that tunnel. He's going to try and get them amped up. Like, this is not – you don't get to come out like we're up however many points we're up. You're coming out like we're down 7, or you're coming out like we're tied right now. I need you to play hard. And I think in that fourth quarter when he sees guys start to kind of loosen up, you may see him start to go, okay, we need to start focusing. If there's penalties everybody like no more fun if
Yeah.
there's penalties.
No more fun. No fun for you.
No fun if there's penalties. So if you play a clean game, you can get
Yeah,
away
you
with
want
a
to
lot
see the
more.
bar held through, and you know what? If Sark's true to his word, it'll be the veteran players who will make sure that the young players are. If they make a mistake, it won't be the coaches having to jump them. It'll be the other guys. It'll be the Jalen Fords of the world. It'll be the Jordan Whittingtons. Those are the guys when the young guys get their chance that are going to be holding that bar and holding to them to account. That'll be the sign of a healthy program in my mind because they all understand what's on the line and they have to. Like this game against Rice, maybe their last chance to get on the field. I mean, they're not going to. Now, you hope they don't have to get on the field against Alabama because you're going to go with your best 11 and best 11 for most of that game.
You are, but those wide receivers, Sark loves to have a deep threat guy that may just be even there.
I think
just to do
Jonte Cook has earned the right to be on the field in those situations, but you got to show it in real time because we've seen a lot of Texas teams and players in the past, 10 years who, we hear about them in practice and then the lights come on and there's 105,000 people there. Where'd he go? Like, what happened?
And we talk about mental mistakes we don't like, and Ty says when it hits him in the hand, when Quinn Ewers puts the ball right on a deep route, and Sark drew it up perfectly, and that ball bounces off of his hands, and it was an easy touchdown. Like, well, yeah, you're probably not going to get on the field against Alabama if you drop that ball against Rice. Speaking of Jalen Ford, though, did you see Lamborghini has announced their newest sponsorships for the season for Texas?
I'm assuming it's Jalen Ford.
Jalen Ford, Jordan Whittington, and Jake Majors.
Dang.
All getting.
The center got some love?
Because Texas and Sark understands. Texas won fun. They understand. Hey, man, show some linemen some
He
love.
needs more than just pancakes.
Show him some love, and we are going to
Pancake Factory.
So, yeah, Lamborghini, Jordan Whittington, Jake Majors, and Jalen Ford are all now on the Texas's parking enforcement watch list.
That's a great idea. As I'm looking at this sedan, can I get a Genesis NIL deal over here? Can that work? who do I have to talk to about that? Where's my NIL deal?
Yeah, where's our NIL deals? I don't think we have the same impact. I don't think we're going to be.
Come on.
Are we not doing the show in front of 100,000 people tomorrow?
Like 7 people here.
Yeah, it's almost like we're at DKR right now.
It's worth a car. Here, but we know you're all listening out there on the way to your Friday football games or dinner.
Yes, no, we appreciate you tuning in. We are out here at Round Rock Hyundai. We'll be out here for a few more minutes. Exit 254 behind the McDonald's. It's a grand reopening. They're going to have the party though continuing tomorrow, where you can come out and look at some of these great cars. They have the new Ioniq, the Hyundai electric vehicle. It is an SUV. The SUV is the Iconic 5. The sedan is the Ioniq 6. They have the Hyundai Assurance. It's America's best warranty. They is a new customer lounge. It is very nice in here. It is. I'm not sweating, which is always nice.
Oh man,
it's so in this
lovely
weather
in here.
It is lovely out here. The cars look great outside. We know that we're going to try and scare Aaron Hogan out of here before he goes and buys a new car.
Oh yeah, I got that one.
But we'll be out here for a few more minutes out at Round Rock Hyundai.
Black wheels.
Here on the Sports Complex. We will come back, wrap it up with some picks for the weekend games, and get you off to Vandergrift versus Cedar Park at 6:45 pregame. All right, here on the Sports Complex, 101.9 AM 1260, the Horn app, and hornfm.com. Back on the Sports Complex here on the Horn. It's a 512 Friday. Got some Peterson brothers there. They're playing Saturday at Antone. It's going to be a fun night. Hopefully we have a big Texas win, and you can go out and enjoy yourself on a Saturday night over at Antone, enjoying some great music from the Peterson brothers. Be fun if you're downtown. You're still tailgating. I don't know if you're going to make it if you start tailgating before the game. Till then, if you do, you're probably younger than I am. I don't know if I have that stamina. I have a fantasy football draft at 9 o'clock on Saturday night. 9 o'clock. It was when we've all reached the age of everybody in that group has now reached the age where you have to basically we were going to do it at one point, then we were going to do it Monday at night, and then everyone's like, well, half the group has to wake up early, so they didn't want to do it late at night. I'm like, oh, I don't get off the air till 7, so I can't do it until 7. And yeah, it just became, well, we'll do it on the weekend, and we can only do it on Saturday. We can only do it at 9 o'clock at night. So I'm going to hopefully not be too drunk, but we'll see. We're giving you up to Vandergrift at 6:45. Get you pregame for them versus Cedar Park. We got a few minutes left here. We're at Round Rock Hyundai for a few more minutes. Our sister station, Coke FM, will be out here tomorrow as well. So more chances for you to come out and enjoy all the options you have here at Round Rock Hyundai. It's exit 254 just behind the McDonald's on the I-35. It is very easy to find. There's a big sign for Hyundai. You will come on out. It's a grand reopening, a complete remodel inside and out. The place looks amazing. It smells good. It feels good. I've enjoyed my time here today, so I would encourage you, if you are in the market, to even look at a new car, to come on down. Check out this exclusive customer lounge. The Hyundai factory program vehicles and incentives are available for everybody. You can check out the new Ioniq if you're looking into a Hyundai. If you're looking into an electric vehicle, the Ioniq Experience. There's an Ioniq 5. There's an SUV. There's a sedan as well. And the Hyundai Assurance, America's best warranty, is 10 years, 100,000-mile warranty. You can check all that stuff out here at Round Rock Hyundai, going on tomorrow as well. Before we get out of here, I do want to make some picks. Give you guys a couple things to look for in the weekend. Ty, if you want to join in, if any of these sound like crazy picks to you, I know you are a gambler as well. So if you have any picks in here that sound crazy. The first one I'm going to start off with, which is a game that is not necessarily the biggest game that everybody's going to watch. West Virginia versus Penn State is an interesting one for me because West Virginia is clearly on the downturn. They have not done well the last few years. No one really expects them, but this is a big game in that it is a Big 12 game versus the Big 10. And if West Virginia can even hang in this game, it will do a lot to show that there is not a complete fall off in the Big 12. Penn State is favored by 20.5 points. We know that Penn State has looked pretty good the last few years, being able to beat most teams except for the big ones. West Virginia clearly not one of the big ones. They have Drew Aller, a 5-star sophomore, starting at quarterback. Of course, Garrett Green for West Virginia. I have Penn State covering on this one. I do not think West Virginia is going to be able to hang in this game, even though someone is a Big 12 and trying to keep the conference alive for the last months that Texas is in it. I don't think that West Virginia is going to be in there. Ty, is that a pick that you're on board with, Penn State being able to cover here?
I'm actually on the other side there.
You think West Virginia is going to come through?
Yeah, I mean, 20 is a lot.
It is a lot.
I feel better buying up 21 and not really don't care.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good.
I think it'll probably be close to around that number. I think West Virginia is going to be score.
Yeah, I feel that Penn State is going to try and run this one up. They're number 7 in the country. They need to go take out the trash with some conferences. And this West Virginia team has just not looked good at all the last few years. I know they're coming out and trying to step it up in this game. I don't have them doing very well, but Ty is the professional at this. I'm only the I know more we're talking about. I'm not a big gambler though, because I like to gamble with other people's money, not my own. Is how I like to do it. Colorado TCU, we talked about it earlier. Colorado is a 20.5 point dog. Again, this is a hook. I do think Colorado covers this. I think they come back late in that game because they are basically starting so many freshmen and playing so many freshmen in this game and playing so many young people that I feel TCU may let it go at the end, and you might get a backdoor cover for Colorado versus TCU. I know that TCU may try and solidify themselves coming off of a national championship appearance year. They may try and solidify themselves by blowing out Colorado. it is a big mystery. We talked about it earlier. No one knows what Colorado is going to do. They may be one of the worst teams in college football this year again. They've been one of the worst teams for probably the last 5-6 years. I just feel like they're going to be able to cover here. I don't have as much faith in a TCU team that does not, a bunch of new starters, a bunch of people put it together. Sonny Dykes kind of is a history of having a really good team, and then as his players start to come in, it goes downhill a little bit. Which side are you this, or you on a Colorado TCU, Ty?
I'm taking TCU.
TCU to cut. Me and Ty are going again. We have to put some money on this, Ty. We'll have to see. Put in UNC South Carolina. I have UNC covering this one. It's going to be close. It's a 2.5-point line on this one. I will say I take the over too. It's 64.5 last I looked. I would take the over in this game. Both teams very subpar defenses. UNC should be able to score a bunch of points. So that was one I would take there is the over on that one. Ty, are you going South Carolina? Okay, you're with me on that one. UTSA at Houston. Houston wearing those Oilers jerseys that are a throwback to the Oilers. I'm really hoping. I wanted UTSA to come back and wear the San Antonio Gunslingers jersey, the USFL team that nobody remembers. But I wanted them to wear that green. I feel like that would be a very good Oilers Gunslingers matchup. UTSA is favored by 2. I like that all day long. I think just Frank Clark and Frank Harris, and that UTSA team, what they can do. I know you're going into Houston, but I like UTSA in this game. It seems like an easy pick for me. Ty?
That's one of my favorite picks.
Yeah, that 2 points seems like that's crazy, right? I get that Houston is now in the Big 12, but
I think it's just a little money. I don't think people realize nationwide how the BTS really is.
Yeah, that seems like one that is. Well, it's a Power 5 versus a group of 5, so we have to take the Power 5 team should be winning. That could make sense on that one. South Alabama is at number 24, Tulane. Tulane is a 6.5-point favorite. Both teams are fighting for relevancy. South Alabama was 10-3 last year. Tulane was 12-2. It is a matchup of two teams that have not played hard schedules but have won a lot of games. So it should actually be a fun game to watch. Pretty competitive. Tulane's got just under a touchdown. I think South Alabama actually keeps it in there. That's a risky one. Tulane is ranked number 24 in the country, but they've lost 5 of their top 5 tacklers. Tulane lost. I think this is one of those. You've reached your peak. I don't know if they can continue it. Have you seen anything about this game, Ty?
This is actually my favorite game of the week.
Okay.
Last year, I have Tulane minus 6.5. Pratt, the quarterback, came out with a phenomenal freshman year last year. I'm sure that can contribute to it. That was one of my biggest playmaker teams last year. I had them over USC and the Cotton Bowl, so I think they'll get it done. I have them minus 6.5.
I just tell you, South Alabama to me, they were 10-3 last year. They were good. It's just a fun matchup. I'm going to enjoy watching this one. This is one that I'm sure I'll put other people's money on just to enjoy that game a little bit more. And finally, the Sunday game, Ty. LSU, Florida State. It's number 5 versus number 8. LSU is a 2-point favorite. It is a tight one because we know that is Jalen Daniels. We know that there is Heisman candidates on both sides of this field. Jordan Travis versus Jalen Daniels. It's going to be a really fun game to watch on a Sunday night. Means a lot for both conferences. I have more faith in Brian Kelly at this point. I think Florida State's good. ACC was down last year. I think that's where Florida State gets a little bit of a benefit. I'm not fully sold on the Jaden Daniels train. I'm not fully on that one yet, but I think LSU can pull out a small victory against Florida State there. What do you think, Ty?
I don't know revenge after last year. His second point in the league last year. I don't really forgot about that. I think we'll play.
You got any other big picks that you made for your for the Sex Panther picks this morning, Ty?
I think those were all the games, like 5 games.
They're the biggest games of the weekend for sure. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Remember, you can check out Aaron Hogan and Rod Babers at Mockingbird tomorrow and go watch some of the games, the early games with them, and then they will be noon pregame from noon to 2 right here on the 101.9 airwaves. I'm sure I'm going to be watching this game. I think this is the game that I agree with everybody on the poll that I'll be watching at my house and trying to just pay attention and watch for mental mistakes. That is the biggest thing we're watching for in week 1 here versus Rice. There's not a ton. That and the running backs, if you're watching that one too, you want to see a running back take over, whether it is C.J. Baxter, whether it is Jonathan Brooks. You want to see a running back take over this game, really dominate, and you have to get pulled out of the game because he's beating up on Rice too bad. That's what you'd really like to see happen in this game. But I don't know if that's going to end up happening. But I would really like to see that. That'll make me feel a lot better about the Alabama game in Week 2. Big thanks to Aaron Hogan for coming out here and joining me today. Thanks to Ty Henderson back in the studio, to Marcus, Christina, and Jacob all out here joining me at Round Rock Hyundai. Come on out and join us at Round Rock Hyundai. Tomorrow there will still be the party going on. We won't be here. We'll be watching football. But you can come out and check out some of the new great cars here at Round Rock Hyundai. We will be back on Tuesday. We'll be back on Tuesday right here on the Sports Complex. Be kind, keep Renderer clean, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Sorry.